Pardon me. I've been very careful not to spoil myself. I knew if I open up Discord, there's probably going to be the photos posted there somewhere. If I open up Twitter, there's definitely going to be photos there somewhere. And I haven't seen any of them except for yesterday. Yesterday there was the preview photo or whatever. Very pretty. So anyway, why don't we get into it? Nice thing about coming into this late is I could just skip to the beginning if they started a little late. I don't expect they'll start as late as they did yesterday, but if they did, I could just jump through it. One minute until first images. This is kind of a sick little 3D model. I like that. I don't know what's going on with their feed though. All stuttery and stuff. I kind of messed around with my mic right before going live, so let me know if the mix is a little weird.
Skywatchers, this is it. This is the day we get the first science images
This
back
is
from the
it.
James Webb Space Telescope. And you've got a front row seat.
Hell yeah.
Cosmos.
This is already more exciting than yesterday. I mean, obviously we're going to see a lot more, but yesterday's presentation lacked something.
I'm Michelle Thaller. Your host for what can only be described as a
Hi, Michelle.
celebration for everyone on Earth. So think about this. Light from the earliest days of the universe has been traveling to us for...
It's not just me that this is stuttery, right? Like it was like that for everybody else. Because this is unfortunate.
billions of years. Just over the last few weeks, we've captured some of that light with a telescope that sees the universe in an entirely new way. And today we share the very first results. So longtime
Hell yeah.
space fans are going to know who this is. This is Dr. John Mather. He's the senior project scientist for the Webb telescope and a Nobel Prize winner. And John, I couldn't be happier to be here with you.
I was about to say, I guess I'm not a space fan. A little bit of gatekeeping going on here. Only real fans know. But I actually do recognize this guy. Destin Sandlin over at Smarter Every Day did a video with him. He worked on the telescope.
Today.
Thank you. It's a thrill to be here for this very special day.
How are you feeling?
I am thrilled and I'm relieved because you know when you start something this big, you know there's always a possibility it might not work. It did work. We are so proud.
And you've been on this project for a very long time, right?
Yeah, started in 1995. We
Wow.
just finished measuring the Big Bang. We measured it with the Cosmic Background Explorer satellite that we built right here at Goddard. And we measured the spectrum. We measured there are hot and cold spots in the Big Bang. So we said, now we know it all, how it all got started. But then what happened after that? So then I got a call from NASA headquarters. Would I like to work on this new telescope that's going to help answer those questions? What happened after the Big Bang? How did the galaxies grow? How did the first black holes grow? What happened all the way from there to here? So this is our time machine, and I just wanted to be part of it. I am so thrilled that we got a chance to do it.
One of the things
Hell
I
yeah.
remember you saying, and this is kind of amazing, that after you win the Nobel Prize, you thought that this mission was the most important thing to work on.
Absolutely. It's the next question. After you know how it started, what happened then? And, you know, suddenly we now have the technology to do it. We didn't have 50 years ago We didn't have the technology 25 years ago, even when we started this. We had to invent things along the way, so we did that, and here it is.
Well, thank you. We'll be back to you in just a moment. So at the moment, we're going to talk about the way that Webb is a completely new way to explore the universe. So today, the mission releases its first science images and gives wings to the dreams of so many people who worked so hard for so long.
Such an iconic design.
For everyone on Earth, this is your telescope. This is the largest, most powerful.
Yo, it's
observatory
my
ever flown
telescope.
to space.
Give me time on that.
It's the product of thousands of people working for more than 2 decades. This is a mission that's singularly focused on the biggest questions in science. So the following phrase is often used too easily, but today actually does mark the dawn of a new era. Today, the Webb mission is open for scientific business, and this is just the beginning. The best is yet to come. So, John, one of the things you told me about is that you really want to make sure there are some people that get thanked, people that put a huge amount of effort into this.
Absolutely. Our current project manager, Bill Oakes, took the project from a time of trouble when we didn't exactly know how we were going to get this to work, and got it all the way to the end. Here it is working, and it's because of Bill made this worldwide team. 20,000 people around the world were involved in making this thing all work.
Wow.
And Bill has been there
That's a lot of people.
every day, making sure that it would happen. So other special person is Senator Barbara Mikulski. She saved our telescope, and she saved the telescope before us. She made sure after the Hubble telescope was launched and it was not in focus that we would go up and fix it. She made sure that happened. When the Webb telescope needed more resources, she made sure we could get that. So, Barbara, we thank you.
Well, it is such an honor to be with you, Jay. I mean, it's been a pleasure to be working with you through this whole thing. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and go Webb.
Thank you.
Go Webb.
So this broadcast, much like
the
every
high school
part of this
mascot.
mission, is a partnership. On our journey to explore distant places in space, we've been joined by intrepid travelers from around the globe. We have so many extraordinary collaborators. So let's check in with our partners who will be sharing
is the deal with this
today
stream?
as we reveal Webb's 5 first science images. From the European Space Agency,
Ooh,
I'm joined by
5
Katie
images,
Haswell from
okay.
Darmstadt, Germany. Katie. I see Katie in the background there. Also joining us
Oh,
from the
Recursion.
European Space Agency in Montreal, we have Nathalie Willette and Sarah Gallagher. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
I see Katie in the background there. See the waving too. And so naturally,
Hell
we're also
yeah.
going to be visiting the nerve center of this mission, the Space Telescope Science Institute on the campus of Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland.
Live
And here we
production,
have Alex
folks.
Lockwood and Carl Gordon, and they're going to give us updates and more. Good morning. Great.
Good morning, Michelle.
International partners
Great.
working, where they'll each reveal one of the new images. But today we're also going to be joined by millions of science fans from around the world.
Oh, look at that little
Many
model
gathered
back there.
at
That's cute.
parties Just for this event. So here we are really going international. So I'm beginning with Bhopal.
Recursion.
Do we have a signal from Bhopal? Yes. Excellent. Welcome to NASA. Hello, everybody there. Wonderful to be talking to you today, all the way in India.
Yeah, they work with satellites and shit. I could give them a pass.
We'll be back to them later, yes? Great to wave to you. Hi, wonderful. And we also have a warm welcome now in Portland, Oregon.
But then again,
So we
a big part of NASA is like
dark, but I see everybody there.
outreach, right? Community outreach and stuff. So
An auditorium, I see. Okay,
if you're doing that via live stream,
Milan, Italy. So afternoon in Italy, do we have?
you would hope that you'd have like good live stream tech and everything.
I guess we have a screen from Italy. And next, we're going to go to Rutland, Vermont. So is this Vermont? Hello, Vermont. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you for being part of this today. Okay, going even a little bit further afield, we have Netanya, Israel. Hello.
Oh, that's fun.
Hello, Israel. Yay.
Hi, Israel.
Really nice to see you guys. Okay, and just one more for now. I see people like giving me hugs. Okay, we also have Vancouver, Canada. Hey, Vancouver. Hi. All right. Wonderful.
Hi.
Wonderful to have all these people with you. So right across from the campus from me, there's also a huge watch party taking place with members of the Webb team. So the
Got a
Webb
watch
team,
party of
they
one
actually
right
are
here.
People that have worked on the mission, and they are part of our NASA funny.
I'd say they should
So hello, Webb team.
pipe me in, but you know, a couple hours late.
There they are. Yes.
Whoa, look at all those people.
A lot of people I recognize there.
Very few of them
it's
wearing
incredibly
masks.
important to me personally, and also to all of us at NASA, that the universe belongs to everyone. And we are thrilled to share this day
Hell
with
yeah.
fans everywhere around the world. We'll say hello to some more later in our broadcast. So now it's time to start the main event. What you'll see over the next hour will be a collection of images newly processed by the Web Science team. Only a tiny handful of experts have seen the images so far.
Stellar death.
So excited to unwrap them.
Oh, shit.
We will be releasing each image in turn in real time. As soon as you
Intense.
see it on this broadcast, it will be available for download on the internet.
Is Deep Field what we saw yesterday?
Below, you can see
Or
a
is it?
timeline showing where
Don't
we
answer.
are in the show.
Don't spoil
and what's
me.
coming up next. And by the end of the show, all
Even if it is, I
images
would
will
like
be
to hear
available
more about
everyone.
it.
So hopefully you can tell I'm excited. Okay. So
I can tell, Michelle. And I'm here for it. Deep Field. Let's go. Are they going to show us the alien pics or hide them? You better show it to me. Aliens belong to all of us.
Okay, we're going to release the first image right here at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, Maryland, and we're just outside of Washington, D.C. NASA Goddard is
Okay.
the project office of the Webb telescope, and the observatory portion of the telescope, the mirrors and the science instruments, were integrated and tested here before launch. So for many of
What kind
us,
of tattoo do you
including
have,
myself,
Michelle?
seeing Webb come together bit by bit, right in
It really goes all the way down your
was an
arm.
emotional and very
kind of an interesting
inspiring
placement.
experience. So it's kind of like a part of us was out there with Webb right now. A million miles away, part of our hopes and dreams are out there.
See
So
that?
ones we're seeing as they looked about the time the sun and the earth formed. And then behind the
Okay, so this
cluster,
is yesterday's
you have,
photo.
because
Cool.
The gravity of the cluster
Kinda
is just
weirdly
slowly
low res.
warping our view of what's behind. And so there are these galaxies
Gravitational lensing. Watch my video.
and pull.
It's all about gravitational lensing. It's
They've
great.
been magnified because they've been magnified by the gravity of the cluster, just like Einstein said they would. And it's really, there's so much detail.
Let's talk about
We're
caustics.
seeing these galaxies in a way that we've never been able to see before. There's just a sharpness
Yeah, it's
and a
gorgeous.
clarity we've never had. And so we can look at, if we zoom in on this image, and I encourage you as you grab this image at home, like zoom in. You can, really zoom in. And
Yeah, it's like a 6,000 by 4,000
here in which you're seeing
resolution photo or
individual
something.
clusters of stars forming, popping up just like popcorn. And then we also see in the background of this image, kind of littered like jewels all over the back of the image, are these faint red galaxies. Now, that was what we built the telescope to do. The most distant of those are billions of years. We're seeing as they looked more than 13 billion years ago. And so galaxies like that one right there, this little red guy, you're like, okay, yep, what is that? Well, Webb got spectra to figure out what those galaxies are made of.
Okay,
And this
tight.
is that one. We're seeing as it looked.
Yeah, let's see some
13.1 billion
graphs
years
and
from
charts
now,
and stuff.
less than a billion years after the Big Bang. And we're seeing the elements of oxygen and hydrogen. as
Ooh,
well
I
as
love to
iron.
see a pixelated blob.
This is
the real
oxygen
shit.
in our
We didn't get
bodies
that yesterday.
made in stars, in galaxies, and we're seeing that process get started.
Yeah, I want to give this a little bit of context. So
Oh,
this is
yes,
now
please.
the farthest away galaxy that we have this sort of detailed information about.
That we know what it's made of.
We know what
like
it's
that.
made of.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
this was not a
No.
long exposure for Webb.
No,
What kind of blew your mind was them saying that this is the equivalent of holding a grain of sand at arm's length away.
was
Yeah,
2 weeks of continuous work.
it's a very
was
narrow
just
slice of the.
With Webb, we took
the
that
sky.
image before breakfast. The amazing thing about Webb is the speed at which we can churn out discoveries. So
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of photos
because
because it's so fast, which is nice.
A week, and we're going to be doing discoveries like this every week.
That is absolutely incredible, Jane. So
Every
thank
week.
you so much for joining us.
It's a tall order,
It's been an honor to be working with you. Congratulations on all your hard work.
Thank you.
but I love it.
To see it pay off.
So thank you, and I'll see you later on today, I hope. So
Yes.
enjoy the day. Thank you. Right. So from distant galaxies, we now turn our eye to something a bit closer. It's a planet, but not one in our solar system. Remember that Earth
Okay.
and its sibling planets aren't the only show in the universe. When scientists and engineers started developing JWST, the search for exoplanets wasn't even part of the plan. That's changed. Exploring exoplanets is now a major component of the mission and the subject of our second big reveal of the day. I'm going to send it down.
Yeah,
to
we've,
our
what,
friends
observed like
Webb
13,000
and Sarah
exoplanets now or
European
something?
Space Agency in Montreal. So again, bonjour.
There's like a Twitter account that just keeps track of like how many exoplanets we've observed. She's like, got another one
Yes, we're-
today.
We're having a little. Okay.
I'm Nicole Malone, and I'm here to tell you.
Ladies? Oh no, buffering.
Sorry for the brief pause there. We're now going over to Canada.
Oh, weird. So is this stream re-streaming another stream?
Yep, we're all ready. Yeah. Okay, I apologize. We're having some trouble with this.
At least they have the NASA bug in the corner, so I know it's not me.
Exoplanet expert right here, just in case that happened. So this is Nicole Colon, and she's an exoplanet scientist.
Live production, folks.
And we're going to talk about this amazing new result.
Sorry, what was her name?
And
I was being rude and talking over
right
you.
here, just in case that happened. So this is Nicole Colon, and she's an exoplanet scientist at NASA. And we're going to talk about this amazing new result from a very hot planet, I understand about 1,000 light years away.
That's right. The exoplanet is named WSP 96b,
Mike.
and it is this hot, gaseous, giant puffy planet that it is about 1,000 light years away. So that's why today's release is so exciting, because it teases out what that is going to do.
Hot Mike. No, wrong one.
So talk us
Wrong
through
one.
what this discovery is and why this is so significant.
Well, this reveal that you're going to see is going to show the first spectrum of an exoplanet as taken from the Webb telescope. And this is exciting because it covers infrared wavelengths of light that we have not had access to before. So we've been able to
That's the thing that's fucking wild to me.
explore exoplanet atmospheres in the infrared, but not to the
Is that we were only
and this is just one
taking images in such like narrow slices of like wavelengths of light.
The instrument specifically.
And there's something about
Yeah, we were missing out on all of this
that is actually
infrared.
particularly good for the spectrum. So in this case, what we're doing is we're actually going to take the light and break it up into a rainbow, and look very, very carefully at how much color is coming in each part of the spectrum. So I believe we have that image. If we can put that up.
Okay. Yes, I believe we're revealing the spectrum right here. So we now have our spectrum, and this is exactly what you're seeing as you just described with spectroscopy. What we did was we observed a transit of an exoplanet. We observed
not spectroscopy,
the
as
planet as it passed in front of the star. Now, mind you, this is not a direct image. This is an indirect image. So we've seen the effect of what happens when the planet and its atmosphere passes in front of the star. The starlight filters through the atmosphere.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Then you
I mean, that's how we
down
have to
into
see
wavelengths of light,
all exoplanets.
and you get a bunch of what looks like bumps and wiggles to some people,
Pretty
but
much.
it's actually full of information content. So you're actually seeing bumps and wiggles that indicate the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere of this exoplanet.
So we have the spectrum up here. Is there
That's
anything
cool.
you'd like to highlight particularly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have
the labeled parts,
several
Michelle.
features marked here. So I call them features. They're these what I just referred to as bumps and wiggles. But what you're seeing here is a telltale signature, the chemical fingerprint of water vapor in these atmospheres, in the atmosphere of this specific exoplanet.
Oh, tight. The Reuters stream. How do you pronounce that? Do you have a link? I don't want to spoil myself by like looking JWST stream. Oh, thank you. You're a hero. Apologies for ads. Wow, they're really milking it. I saw an ad the other day. It was like a dog toy ad or something. And they had music on that had the Pond 5 watermark on it, which means that oh god. Oh wow, they're still live. Okay. Which means that they didn't pay for the song. They didn't properly license the song. Wow, they've got this whole like preamble and everything. Man, I was missing out.
I see Katie in the background there. And we are thrilled to share this day with fans.
And so, this week, telescopes to explore bumps
Is we're actually going to take the light and break it up into a rainbow, and look very, very carefully at how much color is coming in each.
Because
yeah, this looks great.
Are not quite as large as we predicted. So we can take that and infer that.
But no NASA logo.
Right. Now,
That's what was causing all the problems.
With this particular planet, this is a hot world. It's actually closer to its star than Mercury is to our sun, and so we're not.
That's pretty close.
Water here. But we're looking instead at sort of steam, water vapor.
Yes, this is an exoplanet. It's about the size of Jupiter, about half the mass of Jupiter.
Whoa.
It orbits around a sun-like star, but it does it every about 3.5 days. So it's extremely hot, extremely close in, nothing like our solar system planets. But
Yeah, that's wild.
Because what we're seeing is, again, the first exoplanet data from Webb, and this is just the beginning. We're going to start pushing down.
And the logo is like when you export it uncompressed, and it's like a 5-second video file, but it's actually like 40 gigs or something. And it was just like their CPU is like so overloaded that it was like fucking up the whole stream. That's so funny.
Down to further smaller planets and being able to take measurements just like this with the NIRS instrument that was built by the Canadian Space Agency, but also there's three other science instruments that will add to our knowledge in the infrared, as well as direct imaging modes along with the transit method. So there's a lot more to come.
And I guess one thing we should mention is not only are we going to be looking at planets that are more like the Earth in the future, but we'll also be looking at planets in our own solar system.
Absolutely, yes. We're going to have exciting data from planets in our solar system, from Mars outward, as well as asteroids and comets. So stay tuned for a lot more to come.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much for telling us about the spectrum, and I'll be seeing you later on today.
Nice transition, Michelle. Yeah, so transits are really, really wild because, you know, like historically, basically, they'll just like look at a sun and they'll get like a measure of how bright it is. And then it'll just be like, oh yeah, it went down, you know, 0.2 brightness. And they'll be like, well, that means that there's a planet around it and that planet has this much mass or something. And they just do like some magic math bullshit because it's like, oh yeah, this pixel is like 5% dimmer. And so, yeah, you know, and it varies depending on the star and the planet. And it's not always pixel. It's not always like they're just looking at low res JPEGs or whatever. But it's cool to see this kind of spectroscopy, this sort of spectrum here.
So we have 3 more big image reveals, and with that, new and more exciting science. But first, let's take a look back at the...
Wait, 3 more image? Oh, so this was one of the image reveals. Okay, sure, cool.
Journey that brought us to this moment.
It was a data
Celebrations
reveal.
like this one are only possible with years of hard work from a cast of thousands.
It's a little bit less
Being
exciting,
built.
but
Even the most
it's still cool.
Space fans only get to see dramatic moments in its life cycle, the news and images that come out in updates and press releases. But that doesn't really give you the sense of the huge effort that goes on behind the scenes every day. The plans, schedules, and organization to keep everything moving forward really happens, for the most part, out of people's gaze. Webb started as an idea that took root at NASA Goddard. It grew first into planning teams, research projects, schematics, requirements. Then it began the long journey to become real with the development of new technologies, cutting-edge engineering, and finally fabrication, putting it all together. Let's take a brief look back at the visionary journey to how we all got here today.
Sure.
So today was the final closeout of the purge.
Okay, guys, I can hear Rupa, but
It's a pretty emotional moment to be in there and actually, you know, closing it up for the very last time, right? You know, you're
Live
not
production,
gonna touch
folks.
this, and so that was the final operation. And
Hot
once
mic.
that fitting is closed out, there's no more touching of the vehicle. We're ready for launch.
Honestly, this is worth watching just to see him get through a live video feed.
The James Webb Space Telescope.
Yeah, huh?
Born from the desires of astronomers, achieved with newly invented technology, is the
little bit,
culmination
yeah.
of 20 years of work.
At least when it fails,
Humanity has
it does so
unlimited
entertainingly,
questions about our
and they're good
universe.
enough to know that, like,
Engineering a
okay,
way
let's
to
keep moving.
investigate them requires enormous creativity.
They don't just like lock up
Trade-off between
and
engineering performance,
stand there doing
what
nothing.
the
you know?
astronomers want, risk. In fact, when we started 20 years ago, we were actually looking at an 8-meter telescope.
Developing the most
Oh.
sensitive instruments. And testing. And more testing.
And so you don't want to build one that's just incrementally better than what you've got. Because if that's the case, you would just observe longer on the telescope that you already got. So every time NASA builds a new astrophysics mission, a new telescope, it needs to be way more sensitive, way more capable than anything we've ever built before.
It's big.
We all got together in that conference room and we played real time as the images came down from the spacecraft, the very first diffraction limited images ever obtained with Webb. And what we collectively saw as a group was the highest resolution infrared image taken from space ever.
If you're just joining us, I'm Michelle Fowler at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. We're watching live.
Scientists are so goofy.
From the James Webb Space Telescope. So it's appropriate now that I send the broadcast to our colleagues and friends at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore. That's the scientific nerd center of the entire Webb mission. So hello, good morning, Alex. The show is yours.
Wow, she just gave up ownership of the show.
Welcome to the Space Telescope.
Star Death.
I'm Alex Lockwood, and I'm here with Carl Gordon, who is an astronomer.
Alex and Carl.
The key people in delivering the images that you're going to see here today. But actually, before we get into the amazing images, we're going to talk about where we are.
Okay.
We're sitting here outside of the Mission Operations Center, which is the key central hub for Webb. For the past 6 months, scientists and engineers have been working 24/7.
Go, Webb, go.
Since they took control of the telescope 30 minutes after launch to prepare for today and for the amazing science to come.
That feels like a B plan.
Deployments.
They're like, we'll come up with something
The
better.
telescope and
And then it
calibrating
just stuck.
amazing science instruments. It was all done in this building. And from here on out, we'll have daily communications with the telescope, including sending commands and downloading data with the help of the Deep Space Network. In addition to mission operations.
So cool. I want my desk to have 4 monitors like that.
Well, what does that mean? Every year, we solicit proposals from astronomers across the country and the world for what they would like to look at with Webb. Then we hold a rigorous selection process.
Yeah, it sounds pretty intense.
That will best
Trying to get time on
to study and understand
space telescopes.
When the data come down and astronomers analyze their results, we are the lucky ones who get to share that data and those amazing science results with you. And we knew that today was going to be so exciting with the first images, so we've actually been preparing for years.
Wow.
Here is Klaus Pontoppidan, project scientist for Webb and the technical lead for the first images,
it's been a years
to tell you
process.
about the process of the past few years of selecting
my first email
targets.
related to the first images was back from
Wrap it up.
2016. So back then, a committee was created, and this committee was charged with coming up with a long list of targets for the first images. And the reason for that is that the observatory can't see the entire sky at any given time. And this is because you want to avoid the mirror seeing direct sunlight to keep it cold. And it actually had to be quite a long list. We ended up with about 70 targets, from which we had to select only a handful. What would create the most beautiful images, what would highlight the instruments, the different 4 science instruments for Webb, and what would highlight the 4 major science themes for Webb. And it's a celebration as well of the beginning of science observations.
And we knew that selecting the images was just the beginning, that we would need a trained eye to take these exquisite data and pull out the beauty and the science potential. So here's Jody Pasquale and Elisa Pagan.
It's a big responsibility.
About how they processed these beautiful images.
Good beard.
And they have it up downstairs. I think they missed some of that beginning.
We're basically translating light that we can't see into light that we can see by applying color like red, green, and blue to the different filters that we have from Webb.
Hot mic. you could hear a mic in the studio where they are playing this video, and you can hear the video echoed back at like a 3-second delay or something. I was like, is there something playing in his office? No, it's a hot mic. This is really interesting. I often wonder about this because, just a few minutes ago we saw as they were all crowded around talking about seeing the images first come down off the telescope or whatever. And you can see on the monitor that the image looks kind of rough. It's just like red and white. And it does not look especially pretty. And so being able to, my understanding is they take a handful of photos at different wavelengths of light, and then they composite them together. And there's a little bit of interpretation about how things look. And so I think that's what he's about to talk about. Yeah, colorizing the images. Super interesting stuff.
And the reason we want to color the images is because there's actually more that you can get, more information that you can get from the image if you see it in color.
And there's like a visual language that they develop with space photos.
That enhance the details and the structure in the image itself.
The shortest wavelengths of infrared light and assign those blue colors, and then move our way down to green and red as we go to longer and longer wavelengths.
And then we additively combine those together to get our...
Shout out Photoshop.
But there is a lot of aesthetics that are involved in this. Painstakingly going through and cleaning these images up with an attention to detail, a level of detail like at the pixel level in every image.
So when I'm working on the
Is that dead pixels
data,
they're getting rid of?
this sort of marriage between art and science. When you're choosing colors for the filters,
Kind of a noisy image.
you really are trying to show the different
I would love to have this job.
the processes that are happening in the astronomical images. But at the end of the day, you want it to be very compelling. You want it to be very beautiful, because space is beautiful.
And after those images were processed, there was a select few of us, very
Carl's just been standing there, chilling this whole time. He's just there. He's there for the ride, man.
So just to make it a little more handy, so it's actually higher resolution. So we have a team of about 30 people who are producing these images, and we feel incredibly privileged.
I would not have expected that.
The ones were the first to see these science-like images. When we saw the...
Did he say science-like images? That's a really funny way to describe them.
We feel incredibly privileged to be the ones who were the first to see these science-like images. When we saw the first data come down of real targets, people were speechless and there were emotions, because we could see how amazing this observatory will be. The detail, the sharpness, the depth.
I believe it.
And when we saw the first color images, we knew that we had a winner.
Yeah, this is a lot of work that goes very much unseen.
We're ready to see Webb's first image of a star dying, a planetary nebula called the Southern Ring.
Planetary nebulas are so tight. Ooh, very pretty.
Wow.
I would love to get that full res.
This near-infrared image is, wow, the detail. Oh.
Great.
Wow. Okay. Well, here we are. We have a near-infrared image on our left, or on maybe your
24 gigapixel image. Yeah, the first one was quite big. Yeah, I would love to. I like pulling it open and just like really getting in there. Is this planetary nebula one of those God, there's a term for the type of star that's basically like it's basically just tearing itself apart. And you get these really gorgeous like expanding shells of gas coming out of it. God, I forget what it's called. Anyway, this is me providing commentary to the stream. A non-scientist talking about shit I don't know.
right. And here on the right, we have a near-infrared image.
Yeah, if it's anything like the deep field from yesterday. The deep field from yesterday was 6,000 pixels by 4,000 or 5,000 pixels. something like that. Pretty big.
And so I'm here with Carl, our astronomer specialist. Can you tell us what we're looking at in these images?
Yeah.
So this is a planetary nebula. It's called.
But JVA, I try to provide more than I try to provide more than that. I mean, this stream is really just a reaction stream. It's really just me talking about live video production while science happens. But you know, I try to be a little bit more than just that. This is very pretty though. Is the right side Hubble?
Caused by a dying star that has expelled a large fraction of its mass over in successive waves.
Okay, so we actually see those waves in these images.
Yes.
Carl's time to shine.
Oh, wow. And so there's a lot of...
Sorry, I was talking. I didn't hear
We
anything.
have a near-infrared image. And so I'm here with Carl,
Yeah.
our astronomer specialist. Can you tell us what we're looking at in these images?
So this is a planetary nebula. It's caused by a dying star that has expelled a large fraction of its mass over in successive waves.
Okay, so we actually see those waves in these images.
Yes.
Wow. And so there's a lot of structure. Can you tell us a little more detail about what we're looking? Maybe start with this one on the left.
Yeah. So in the near cam image, you see this kind of
Okay, so these are different instruments.
almost foamy appearance throughout the whole nebula with some very structured shells. But and this foaminess is showing up in orange.
Gorgeous.
And this is due to the molecular hydrogen that's newly formed in the expansion, just lighting up the gas and dust of this nebula. And then as we move inward, you see this kind of very blue haze in the inner region. And this is actually due to very hot ionized gas that emits well in the blue that's heated by the core, the leftover very hot core of this star.
And what about these like rays that we're seeing in this image?
Right there. So there's also rays in the outer regions that you can kind of see, and these are holes in the inner nebula that are actually allowing the central star's light to come out and kind of light it up like
Ooh, this is good commentary.
clouds with the sun shining through.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't have noticed
That's
that.
what it looks like. That's so cool. So you're actually a mid-infrared astronomer, which is different than near-infrared. And so what can you tell us about the details in this mid-infrared image?
So it looks quite different in color.
Is someone writing the mics and not just assigning them to shots? It seems that way. If I had to guess, it's probably, yeah, you would think if they just had like a really big like OBS like list of shots or whatever, that they would do that. So that way they could just switch to a shot and it would auto assign the mics and stuff. But they probably have like a big ass mixing board, you know, and they probably have one person on visual, one person on audio. I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing. I don't do much live video, to tell you the truth. But if I had to guess, that's what I would say.
Color, partly because we're
probably just because there's so much, like, it's such a complex operation with a lot of different locations and a lot of different mics and a lot of different video feeds and everything, that they need to be able to adjust stuff on the fly. But unfortunately that causes its own technical challenges.
we're seeing different, so it looks quite different in color, partly because we're seeing different kinds of physics going on here. So we actually
just different wavelength.
You see a lot of blue. The blue is actually due to hydrocarbon grains that are emitting very strongly in the blue for MIRI. And they show the very similar structures to what we see in orange and NIRCam, because the hydrocarbon, the molecular hydrocarbon actually forms on the surface of dust grains. And so again, as we move inward, we see that the inner region is again hot ionized gas, but now it glows red because that's where it emits the strongest for MIRI wavelengths.
Okay.
And then as we go into the center, we see kind of the surprise for us, which is we knew this was a binary star, but we effectively didn't really see much of the actual star that produced the nebula. But now in MIRI, this star glows red because it has dust around it. So in MIRI, we got to see both stars very clearly.
Dusty ass star.
You can't see it in the first image really, but there's two stars there. So that's a fun surprise. And I think that there's another little Easter egg you want to tell us about?
Yeah, so this was, the Easter egg is this kind of narrow filament up in the top that's radially aligned. You can kind of see it very clearly in the MIRI image. It shows up as this blue structure, and it points very much to the central sources. So I thought, oh, this must just be a density enhancement in the outer nebula. I thought that very, very strongly, but other people on the team were like, no, it's a background edge on galaxy. Well, I made a bet that said, no, it's part of the nebula. By the way, I lost the bet because then we looked more carefully at both the NIRCam and MIRI images, and it's very clearly an edge on galaxy with a dust lane and a bulb. So I lost the bet.
Well, you lost the bet, but you got these gorgeous images, so I think it's a win for everybody. Anything else you'd like to say today?
I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Neither can I. All right. Thanks so much. Back to you, Michelle.
I was trying to think of that term earlier of a star that rips itself apart. Is it like Refensdahl? Sorry, I'm going to take a quick second to search that. My brain needs this Refensdahl. I don't think that's how you spell it, but fuck, what is it? Star rips itself apart. Term. Damn it. I want to say it's something close to that, though. I lost the bet, so we're trashing the project.
Thank you, Alex.
We're deleting these photos.
Absolutely spectacular. So as you know, people from all over the world are watching us today and joining in our excitement as we
Recursion.
Web's first science images. We've been checking in with our colleagues in Europe and Canada throughout the program.
Refstall?
But we also want to take a moment to include the people at the so many viewing parties scattered around the world like stars in the night sky. So let's check in with some of them now. First, we go all the way to Perth, Australia. Do we have a signal from Perth? I guess nothing from Perth right now. Maybe we have some of our other feeds. We're going to check in with them right now.
You're doing great, Michelle.
Do we have Winnipeg, Canada? Oh, there it is. There's Australia. There's Perth. Hey, waving to Perth, Australia. Thank you so much for joining us today. And next we're going to Winnipeg, Canada. Hello, Winnipeg. At a planetarium. Everybody's enjoying the show, I hope. Okay, Dayton, Ohio. Everybody's watching on the, there we go, Dayton, Ohio. Hello, everybody, Dayton. Nice to have you here with us. There we go, yes. Hey, hey, Dayton. Hey, they're jumping up and down. Hi. Okay, all the way Bangalore, India. Bangalore. Hello, hello to Bangalore, India. Hey. It's absolutely wonderful. Hey. Okay. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the images we're releasing. Okay, of course, NASA's family extends all over the country. The team at JPL in Pasadena, California, they're on site to celebrate with us. So hello, JPL. Some of my favorite people in the world. Hey, hello.
I figured it out. Wolf Rayet. Anyway, in case you want to look up some cool ass fucking stars, Wolf Rayet stars. Oh, okay, I can breathe and pay attention to the stream again.
Oh. And I think the last place we're going to right now is Northrop Grumman, one of our major contractors. Hello, Northrop Grumman. Oh, hey, all right.
Oh, they're excited.
Hey, nice to see you, Northrop Grumman. All right, now there's also a big watch party right here on the NASA Goddard campus. Many of these people have worked on the mission itself, and we also have top NASA leadership and representatives from our government. So hello, hello watch party at Goddard, yay.
Hi, gang. God, that's so many people.
Okay, wonderful. So, I mean,
oh, they were piping in the audio right at the end.
Friends and colleagues around the globe. A major partner in the Webb mission is the European Space Agency. ESA contributions have been essential to so many aspects of this project, including Webb's spectacular launch on the Ariane 5 rocket last December. I'm very pleased to turn over the show for a few minutes to Katie Haswell. She's joining
us from the handheld.
Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, Germany. Hello, Katie. Good afternoon.
Up next, Galaxy. Damn, we proved galaxies exist?
Thanks, Michelle.
That's huge.
Welcome to Germany. We're at the European
It's no
Space
place. I'm still getting all kinds of IFB from lots of
center. It's where
Hot
you
mic.
can effectively fly the satellites. They're a little bit
Katie.
cross between.
Thank you. I forgot her name already.
Pilots. We have lots of different control rooms here. This is the.
Oh, I love your
main
accent.
Control room, and as you can see today, it's not in use. So we've been lucky enough to move in.
Galaxies are real.
I have two very special.
It's a webcam on a monopod.
Both scientists from the European Space Agency. Giovanna Giardino is a near-spec scientist. Giovanna has been working on that for many years and lots to tell us about that. And Mark McCaughrean is a special advisor for space, for science and exploration. These two guys have been working on the Webb Space Telescope for a long time. So we're very grateful to have you with us. Thanks, folks.
Pleasure.
We
Look at that honeycomb design logo.
Our image with you. But before we do that, we thought we'd give you a little bit of background, because we've come here today because these guys were the first ones to pick up the signal during the Webb launch, when Webb first launched.
ESA seems so chill.
A system called S-Track, which is NASA's deep space tracking system, and they were listening out when Webb called home. And
look at that signal spike.
Here have been looking after a whole very, very impressive
Hell yeah.
missions since 1968. ESA has played a very, very important role during the Webb for the.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at logos like the, what is it called, the meatball, or whatever. Iconic NASA. Hubble, sorry, there are birds on my balcony and they are going buck wild. Hubble is obviously plays a massive role in astrophotography and science communication with the public. But if you ask somebody what does Hubble look like, I couldn't tell you what Hubble looks like. I don't know, right? But James Webb Space Telescope, I know what that looks like, right? It's a very visual thing, and I think that works to its advantage for sure. Hubble looks like a cannon. Yeah, if I had to guess, that's probably kind of close to what I would draw. If you asked me to draw Hubble, I'd be like, I don't know. It looks like just like a normal telescope, like a big tube out in space. But yeah, I think the sort of golden honeycomb filled with hexagons. It's what, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's like 20 hexagons or something. But you could just draw like a hexagon. You could draw like a honeycombed hexagon. It's like very simple, but like distinct.
The Webb Space Telescope. They provided the launch on board the awesome Ariane 5 launch vehicle from the Guiana Space Center. The atmosphere in the Mission Control Center was electric, I can tell you. I was there. They've also provided people. We have 15 ESA scientists working at Space Telescope in Baltimore, and also they have provided the infrared spectrograph, the near-infrared spectrograph, and also half of the MIRI instrument, which is the mid-infrared instrument. Let's take a look at those now.
Thank you, Katie.
Webb's 4 scientific instruments include NIRSPEC, the near-infrared spectrograph, led by ESA. NIRSPEC splits near.
I just want to highlight just like how different the presentation styles are at ESA versus NASA. I love this. This is so nice. Hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. This feels very British. And it's just nice. It's just nice.
From astronomical objects into its components. Like a barcode, this will help.
I feel like I'm watching the BBC.
The physics of the objects they're observing, from their temperature to atomic makeup. NearSpec can observe parts of an object or the sky using an image slicer and an array of microscopic shutters.
Cool.
Webb's integrated science instrument module, located behind the main mirror, also contains MIRI, a mid-infrared camera and spectrograph. Seen here during testing, MIRI's been developed by a partnership between Europe and the US. MIRI detects mid-infrared light from planets, stars and galaxies. It can analyze molecules to help us deduce what astronomical objects are made of and peer into clouds of gas and dust where stars and planets are born. Together, these instruments will help Webb detect and analyze light from
God, it's so pretty.
dawn of time, revealing the universe as never before.
18 hexagons.
So,
that's close. So
let's get ready to reveal our image.
Live, folks.
And remember that one of Webb's jobs is to find out about...
Hold on. Who is this? Let's just take a second. Who is this? Who is this? You know. Somebody was like, just trust me on this one. I want you to go to the back of the room and I want to stand there and I want to do the superhero pose. Just take the photo. I need this. I need this win. I guess the question is, was it this person's idea, or was it like the photographer's idea? And there were like 5 people in that room, and they're like, who gets to be the superhero? Who gets to do it? I want to know the backstory behind that photo. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably like, oh, well, for marketing. But let me have this, because that's great. That's so good.
Galaxies. More about the galaxies. That one of Webb's jobs is to find out about galaxies. More about galaxies, but also to help us to understand how they change. And this image is going to be very, very useful for that. Let's reveal it.
Yep, that's one.
There it is. It's called Stefan's Quintet, and it's wondrous. Giovanna, what are we looking at?
Yes, like it's a quintet, so we are looking at 5 galaxies. Galaxies
That's a mess.
This giant structure that, as we've seen, we see everywhere around us in the universe. They contain from million to 100 billions of stars. And
So
in fact,
wispy.
we live in one of them, the Milky Way. And here we see 5 of them. This is a closer galaxy in the foreground. And these 4 are at a distance of about 300 million light years from us. And they're locked in a close interaction, a sort of cosmic dance driven by the gravitational.
Like everyone up till receiving the first photos were like, no one breathed. No one in the engineering field would risk the telescope being damaged. Well, yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were a healthy distance away. There's a really great Smarter Everyday video where Destin's dad was on the engineering team, so he actually got to go into the room and film in the room with James Webb Space Telescope. He stood in the middle of it, where the little spike is, where the little spire is, the black spire in the middle. He got to stand in the middle of the telescope. So I don't think it's quite like I don't think it's quite that level of caution, but obviously they're not going to do anything that puts the telescope at risk, right? Anyway, this is a wild photo.
Force. You can see here these two in a process of merging within each other. This is a very important image, an area to study, because it really shows the type of interaction that drives the evolution of galaxy. That's the mechanism of galaxies' growth.
I love this image of the cosmic dance moving through each other.
Sorry to keep pausing and everything. One thing I really love about live production is like listening to like the little subtle cues in people's voices to like get into their mindset. And so like this lady, I don't remember her name. I feel like I can get the sense that she's excited to convey this, but she's also trying to like keep it cool. So you can hear like a little bit of wavering in her voice, like especially as she's using crutch terms like right? And actually, crutch terms is probably not a good phrase. She's using God, I don't know. What would you call that? Anyway. And so I like listening to all these people trying, yeah, filler works. I like listening to all these people trying to like keep things moving but not forget anything, but also like try to convey things in like a confident, like presentation that's good for the stream. That's one of my favorite things. Just hearing people keeping their cool when maybe their job their 9 to 5 is not being on camera talking to people. It's just very interesting to me.
Very important image an area to study because it really shows the type of interaction that drives the.
And to be clear, I think everybody's done a great job. As much as I like poke fun at little things here and there, and all of the live snafus and stuff, snaffs, gaffs, whatever. I think everybody's doing a great job of keeping it together, delivering the information, conveying their excitement. It's very good to watch.
Evolution of galaxy, that's the mechanism of galaxies' growth.
I love this image of the cosmic dance moving through each other. Mark, there's a lot going on.
I need a gif of that lady, Katie,
this is a near infrared
doing that cosmic dance.
Infrared image combined. And when we zoom in on the left-hand side here, we see this foreground galaxy. We see lots of individual stars in there actually resolved as point sources, which is remarkable.
My God, it's full of stars.
As we pan across, we actually see the galaxies in the merging galaxies. We now see gas and dust, which is being heated up in the collision between those galaxies. And that's a place where new stars are being born today. So we're actually seeing the process of creation of new stars in this region.
Where are you going?
Look in the background here, we
there.
see not only the galaxies at 300 million light years, but also stars in our own galaxy, these snowflake structures that you see here.
So that was actually something that I was really interested with yesterday's photo. Because yesterday's photo, the sort of deep field photo, one second. I'm just going to pull that image up. I'm going to try not to spoil myself on images to come. Okay, so if we pull up yesterday's photo and we go to full res, gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. But then we have these stars here. So that confirms what I suspected. I didn't really hear anybody talking about it. Definitely not on stream because the stream was like a 10-minute stream or something with not scientists. But I suspected that these large stars, this one, were actually foreground stars, like in our galaxy, whereas everything behind that is, cluster, and just galaxies everywhere, which seems to be the case. So these bright spots are local stars that we're seeing past with here. God, so pretty. I love this one. I'm super interested in what this lineup is right here. Right? Like, this is cool and all, right? But I'm really interested in what the hell is happening here. This particular line. It's very interesting. And I don't know what this is. I'm guessing this might be a distant galaxy, but it also kind of looks like a big dead pixel, to be honest with you. It's just so red. It's so like hyper saturated that it makes it feel like it's not the real thing. Anyway, back to new stuff. There were reports that some specks got onto the lenses. Interesting. How would that reveal itself though? I feel like what that would primarily do is possibly leave like a little dim spot. At least that's how it would typically work with my sort of camera equipment. They use some AI to edit it out, but not too sure. Interesting. Well, yeah, if they can pinpoint exactly where it's at, they could theoretically kind of correct for it. I think that's pretty well established. I want to say maybe even in Photoshop, there might be a way to do, like, if there's dust on your lens or your camera sensor in a way that you can't. Actually, this might be in camera, not in Photoshop. It might be in camera. There might be a way to. I think I remember hearing that there was a way that, if there's like dust on the sensor or something that you can't get rid of for whatever reason, you can basically point your camera at like a white wall or something, and like overexpose or whatever. So that way the wall is just like pure white. But then you'll see these dim spots where the dust is, and you can basically say, hey, capture this, and it learns where the dust is, and then it corrects those areas on the sensor for upcoming photos. I want to say that's a thing, but I've never actually done it myself, so I don't know 100% for sure. But I feel like I remember hearing about that or seeing something about that.
Here, those are nearby stars, but in the corner and around the edges, we see galaxies which are much, much more distant, much further away. So similar in some sense to the ones that we saw earlier on in that deep field. So this image actually takes us from the nearby galaxy, our own Milky Way.
There's just a couple
galaxies which
couple seconds ahead.
Today, all the way to the distant universe. And in a way, it captures cosmic evolution of galaxies over those 13.8 billion years.
So we have another image, don't we, that we can look at?
So if we strip away the near-infrared view there of the stars predominantly, now in the mid-infrared with MIRI alone, we see mostly gas and dust. So we see the same.
It's really different.
The two merging. And then we also see something very interesting up at the top here, because this top galaxy has something new and bright in the middle of it. And Giovanna, tell us what that is.
Yeah, that's an active black hole. We cannot see the black hole itself, but we see the material swirling around, being swallowed by these sort of cosmic monsters, and this gas gets heated to extremely high temperature as it falls onto the black hole.
What's her accent? Is it like Central Northern European? I like to think I'm okay at picking out accents, but I can't place hers really. It's quite interesting. This photo is fascinating to me. It's it's so different.
And it becomes very bright. In fact, this is how shiny is the galaxy. Here we see luminosity that are 40 billion times the luminosity of our suns. It's really, really bright. And with NIRSpec, we can zoom into this area, and we have this technology that allows us to take thousands of images at different wavelength channels, so see this distribution of the gas, what's going on in the gas.
I just want to take a second to appreciate the way that she said distribution. It's so good.
This distribution of the gas, what's going on in the gas, in different regions of this core area, and understand the composition of the gas, the velocity, this core.
I want to look at this in more detail. Wow. So when they zoom in, you can really see it swirling around that black hole. That's phenomenal.
Or areas. This distribution of the gas, what's going on in the gas in different regions of this core area, and understand the composition of the gas, the velocities, the temperature. So that's very important to understand the physics.
So
of
it's
these
giving us
objects.
so much information, and it just shows the power of this telescope. Mark, this is just the beginning, though, isn't it?
I think that's a very important takeaway from today. You know, these are like pictures just taken over a period of 5 days, and every 5 days we're getting more data, which will contribute more in that direction.
Amazing.
It's a culmination of decades of work, but it's just the beginning of decades. And you know what we've seen today with these images is essentially that we're ready now. This telescope is working fantastically well. And you know, to borrow a phrase from a famous rock musician, you know, we're ready to turn this telescope up to 11. It really is time. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you very much
Sure.
indeed, both of you. Back to you.
I'll accept that. Fact, black holes exist. Einstein was proven right again.
Katie, it is so great to have you and your colleagues with us on this historic day.
That old refrain.
Thanks, Katie. It is so great to have you and your colleagues with us on this historic day. So before we get to the fifth and final image reveal of the day, it cannot be said enough that an achievement like the James Webb Space Telescope is something bigger than any one of us. It's bigger than any organization.
And it belongs to all of us.
This truly takes a planet. Webb belongs to all of us. And starting today, the discussions start and are not going to stop. This is just the beginning. We've said several times throughout the broadcast that the Webb mission is about people. And during the construction of the Great Telescope, people started to see themselves in it, literally. Day after day, people visited the observation window at NASA Goddard. And looking through the glass, they snapped selfies of themselves reflected in the gigantic golden mirror. These photos are actual reflections of the enormous human investment and the emotional commitment that brought this mission to life. And now, years later, that mission is finally collecting light from the earliest days of the universe, all the way to worlds in our own solar system. It's the same mirror that reflected the many faces who see themselves as part of the journey to understand our shared origins. Let's stop for a moment and appreciate the people behind Webb.
Sure. Oh, like a moment of silence? Sorry.
Okay, it's time now for the last image to be revealed.
Okay. Sorry, I thought we were cutting away to something. I didn't realize it was like a respectful moment of silence.
So Amber Strawn is Webb's deputy project scientist. She's here with me today to share the final big reveal of the day. So Amber.
And as NASA and others have reported in the past week, its mirror, the heart of the Space Telescope, has already been dinged 5 times by tiny spaceflies, the most recent of which has done real but correctable damage. Yeah, I did hear about that. It sounded like it wasn't like a super big deal, but, you know, they're monitoring it very closely, so that's the kind of thing that pops up. But I don't know. I'm not a scientist. The hell do I know? Back to you, Michelle.
So Amber Strawn is Webb's deputy project scientist. She's here with me today to share the final big reveal of the day. So Amber, it is so good to see you. How are you feeling?
Oh, so great, so exciting. What a great day this is.
Yes, so what we're going to do is before we get to the final image, the James Webb Space Telescope has taken us all over the universe today. So let's do a quick review of where we've been so far. So Jane Rigby got us rolling today with an extraordinary new deep field image, showing us one of the farthest views of the universe ever.
Yeah, this image really does demonstrate that JWST can do exactly what we've designed it to do.
Yes. And the Canadian Space Agency then took us to the massive planet WASP 96b, where the team has detected evidence of atmospheric water.
And here again, we're seeing the incredible efficiency of this observatory. We're able to do these kind of measurements in a fraction of the time that we're able to before.
Hell yeah.
And then we zipped up the road from NASA Goddard to the Space Telescope Science Institute, where Alex and Carl showed us the exquisite Southern Ring Nebula, a mixing bowl of stellar matter around a pair of dying stars.
Yeah, and I'm just blown away by the level of detail we can see, like in the outer part of this nebula. It's incredible.
Wow.
Background's a little
After
delayed.
that, we off to Germany, where the European Space Agency wowed us with pictures of galaxies interacting and mixing together.
Right, and this image, again, it's incredible because it's showing us one of these fundamental processes of the universe, how galaxies merge together, and we're able to learn about these processes in a brand new way.
So the Webb team has a lot to cheer about right now. So across the campus, there's this big watch party, and we can feel the excitement all the way from over here. So let's
Hell
go to
yeah.
the celebration now. We're back with Senior Project Scientist John Mather, along with the head of NASA's Science Mission Directorate, Thomas Zurbuchen. Hello.
What's up, John? This has got to be so exciting for all of these people.
So, John, we looked around the world and we're the only ones with a cheerleading crew. Like
Interesting accent.
Amazing. Look, you've been with this mission for decades. How do you feel today?
I am so thrilled and so relieved. This was so hard. It took so long. It's just impossible to convey how hard it really was. That we risked so much to say we're going to go do this, and it's so near impossible, but we did it.
Yeah, there are thousands of ways this can go wrong.
Yes.
Many of them, we worried about and frankly feared even after launch. I have to tell you, I was really, really nervous, and it's almost like athletics for me. You always get to know the team when they're on the field, and on the field they were right after this launch, and they were perfect.
They absolutely were, and I really wasn't.
Form of German, interesting.
Could have been.
Yeah, that's difference between the two of us. I always worry. I always tell everybody I'm paid to worry, frankly.
God, a Dyson Sphere would be so cool.
What we want to do, though, is, just really thank the team again. Of course, we heard Bill and Scott and Greg talking about the team that is there. I think what's also important is to recognize that Bernie is sitting there, who was the first manager. I was sitting there. Could you stand up? And I want to mention that Phil Sabelhaus, who is a manager also during that time, is no longer with us, but his heart is with us today.
Yeah.
I like that this is like the moment where people can finally be like, they can like really breathe a sigh of relief, because it's like this guy was talking about how he's like, oh yeah, I was really nervous pretty much right up until now. And it's like, even when the telescope gets to the Lagrange point, it's like, you can't even breathe a sigh of relief then, because it's like, it's got to unfold. You have to calibrate all of the instruments. It's like anything can still happen. And to basically have to hold your breath for 25 years until this point where it is where it needs to be. It is up and operational. It is performing better than anticipated. It is actually doing the science now. And that has to be just like an unbelievable weight off of your shoulders.
I have to tell you, John, after each one of these milestones, I called a lot of people. I called Bernie, for example, and I called people who are at my job and people who are administrators, because there's many of them. And I just wonder how you feel about the team. Just give you the word here.
I am just so thrilled that we had a privilege to assemble such a brilliant team. We drew from the best of the best, and here we are. So my extreme deep thanks go to all the people who built that team. Not only to Bernie, who started us and helped us build up all the technology, to Phil, who made sure we would have a plan, and then when we didn't have quite enough money, to Bill, who pulled it all together and made it get all the way to the end. I am so thrilled that we had so much talent to draw on, and here we are. We have the support of the country and the world to take on this immense challenge.
You know what I'm most excited about? There's tens of thousands of scientists, and frankly, some of them just got born or not even born, who are benefiting from this amazing telescope, because it will be with us for decades.
It will be. It took us about 25 years to get here, since 1995, and we have at least 25 to go, I hope.
So look,
Great.
We are in a sense of these images, the art that is out there in the sky, revealed for the first time. We're thinking of
Which means we need to start building the next one now.
all of you. And back to Michelle.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And this entire collection continues to just absolutely astound me. Okay, Amber, so here it is. Can you walk us through the final image reveal?
Absolutely. Here we go.
It all comes down to this.
The last image
Oh, nice.
is, wow, look at that. So Amber, can you tell us a bit about what we're seeing here?
Of course.
Classic.
This stunning vista of the cosmic cliffs of the Carina Nebula reveals new details about this vast stellar nursery. Today, for the first time, we're seeing brand new stars that were previously completely hidden from our view.
There's something you want to point out here?
Absolutely. So honestly, it took me a while to even figure out what to call out in this image.
Yeah.
There's just so much going on here. It's so beautiful. One thing that really stands
Go the
out
opposite
to me
way.
you sort of get this sense of depth and texture.
Do ultraviolet.
New data.
Ultraviolet
There's
telescope.
a lot going on. To call out a few specifics, first of all, in general, the Carina Nebula is a nearby star-forming region within our own Milky Way galaxy, about 7,600 light years away. And in this view,
Yeah, look at those ripples and folds in
first
the
of all, of hundreds of
the nebula.
stars that we've
It's
never
cool.
seen before. We see examples of bubbles and cavities and jets that are being blown out by these newborn stars. We even see some galaxies sort of lurking in the background up here. We see examples of structures that, honestly, we don't even know what they are. Like, what's going on here? The data is just so rich.
The truth is out there.
What's really special about the infrared? Infrared can actually see deeper into the star-forming regions.
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about infrared is it really does reveal what's going on here in a really cosmic sense. And in general, what's happening in sort of this overall landscape is we have these gigantic, hot, young stars up here to the top of this rim, and the radiation
make a
and
joke
stellar winds from those stars is sort of
Now is not the
pushing
time.
down and running into all of this. This is gas and dust, and of course we know that gas and dust is great raw material for newborn stars and baby planets. But there's a flip side to this story and also a little bit of a mystery because these same processes can serve to sort of erode away this material and stop star formation.
Personal cringe. Listening to people always respond with absolutely. The funny thing about that is so that's like a confirmation phrase. And it's really important linguistically, but yeah, everybody kind of has different confirmation phrases. It's a really interesting like piece of the structure of conversation. Right. It's like I think about that a lot when it comes to Scam School or Modern Rogue or something where you might have a person who is informed on a topic and they're trying to convey that to a layman or somebody who just is ignorant on the topic. And those confirmation phrases are basically the listener saying, I do not have any issues with what you've said so far. I'm not yet confused. Please continue talking. Which is really funny because it's like, if you have an issue, just say, hey, I don't understand something. But apparently it's like, it's something that's just like ingrained in the way that we developed speech and conversation. I actually cut it out a lot when we do our videos because I don't think it actually benefits a viewer of the video, right? So I try to cut it out every chance I get, but it's interesting how prevalent those are in everybody. But yeah, absolutely is an interesting one because it is so definitive, but it is fun to say. I think it's fun to say. Absolutely. It has like a nice, like, that word has a nice shape to it. I try to shut the fuck up. I try to not say anything. I try to cut out my own confirmation phrases, but sometimes Sometimes speakers need that. Sometimes people get really awkward if you don't say it.
So we have this sort of delicate balance going on of new stars.
You work with sports commentators and try to tell them to avoid those. True.
Because these same processes can serve to sort of erode away this material and stop star formation. So we have this sort of delicate balance going on of new stars being formed, but at the same time, the star formation is being halted. And for me, when I see an image like this, I can't help but think about scale. You know, every dot of light we see here is an individual star, not unlike our sun, and many of these likely also have planets. And it just reminds me that, you know, our sun and our planets and ultimately us were formed out of the same kind of stuff that we see here. We humans really are connected to the universe. We're made of the same stuff in this beautiful landscape.
And actually, the Carina Nebula was one of my favorite images from Hubble. So Hubble looked at this as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The Hubble image of this is also spectacular. We saw it in a different kind of light when Hubble took an image of this particular nebula. And then you can see amazing things with Hubble, but when we zoom into this new image, we're able to see so much more detail. And of course, all of us, you know, I grew up on Hubble, and all of us love Hubble. And I'm so excited to see what
the shades of blue
observatories
really
are
nice.
able to do really in tandem with each other.
Thank you so much. And again, congratulations. It's been a pleasure to be working on this with you. I'm just amazed by what's been going on.
I am too. Thank you.
So as we're wrapping up, one of the things that I really have to say—
Bring it all home, Michelle.
The journey that we've been going on is so very dramatic for me. So we've gone all the way from the birth of stars.
I just noticed her little honeycomb necklace. It's very nice.
We are all the way from the distant galaxies to the birth of stars. This is where we all began. This was the whole point of the James Webb Space Telescope, to figure out our origins from the very, very early days of the universe to star and planet formation very nearby.
Sorry. She said origins, and my brain heard oranges. And I was so confused. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway. You just noticed the monitors are in honeycomb too. Oh yeah. That's cool. Again, iconic design. I think it's gonna be very beneficial for a long time.
Birth of stars. And we are all the way from the distant galaxies to the birth of stars. This is where we all began. This was the whole point of the James Webb Space Telescope, to figure out our origins from the very, very early days of the universe to star and planet formation very nearby. So right now, I'm very honored to have our last special guest. This is the administrator of NASA, Bill Nelson. An honor to be with you, sir.
He just showed up.
What a banner day. It's clear that Webb represents the best of NASA. It maintains our ability to propel us forward for science, for risk-taking, for inspiration. And we don't want to ever stop exploring the heavens, nor stop daring to take another step forward for humanity. In the words of the famous Carl Sagan, somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known. I think those words are becoming reality.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Michelle.
An honor to have you here. Thank you very much. Wow. So this is a celebration for all humanity. If you've ever looked up at the night sky and wondered,
belongs to all of us.
Wherever you are, this is your
This is just the beginning.
And we also salute the thousands of people who have dedicated part of their lives to making Webb a reality. I also want to give a big shout out.
They're playing you off, Michelle.
Who's helped bring Webb.
Wrap it up.
This broadcast is a joint effort of the superstar producers, animators, and social media specialists at the Canadian Space Agency.
She is talking a little faster.
And especially the Goddard Space Flight Center. Webb captures light in distant colors that the eye can't see, and you've actually made this visible to the world. So finally, if you go to nasa.gov/web-first-images, you can download all of the images and data we've just shown in full resolution. Check that often. From now on, we share new discoveries for exciting new destinations around the universe. July 12th, 2022 marks a huge day for science. And it's only just the beginning. For everyone at
There we go.
CSA, ESA, and NASA, I'm so very pleased you could join us. I'm Michelle Fowler. Go Web.
Thanks, Michelle. Go Web. That's such a goofy slogan. I don't even know where I can watch any of the January 6 hearings. I tried to look for it the other day, and it was all like behind paywalls and stuff. PBS YouTube? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's probably not something I would stream, but that is probably something I would want to watch at some point. But this is a big deal, you know. I was thinking about maybe doing a an emergent beacon video about these photos. By the time I would get it done, there'd probably be a handful more photos, at least. But yeah. By the way, next video, so close to being done. It's 71 minutes, 72 minutes, something like that long. And it is like 2 work days away from being ready to publish. It's really close. This does a little bit look like they like recovered some alien technology that they don't want the public to see. Yeah, well, when you work on something that is basically the length of a feature-length film, there are different phases of being close to done, right? It's like when you spend like 5 months filming, being close to done on filming is a big deal. When it's close to done on editing, that's another big deal. When it's close to being done on, you know, this and that, everything feels monumental. But I am 100% publishing the video this month. There is no reality in which I don't. Unless I'm hospitalized. If I'm hospitalized, it might not come out this month, but even then I would probably figure out a way. Sure. Speaking of hospitalization, look at those burns. They actually don't look that bad on camera. Yeah, burns all over my arms. Sucks. It's not great. No, it's fine. I'm just sensitive about it, you know. Because it's taken me 14 months to make this video. And I know that, like, hey, if you want to grow a YouTube channel, you have to post regularly. But I also want to do I want to do more than just that. And it's something that it's like, I see the vision, and it takes a lot out of me to keep that faith, you know. And this is like the hardest part of it, is that it's like I'm in the slow churn of building something, and it has not yet paid off, you know? So it's like, I just have to keep believing and keep working at it so that one day it does pay off. And so, you know, there's a reason I don't post like public updates about new videos and stuff. And it's because I've done that before, and then people are like, you know, I did a post about my 1-year anniversary for Emergent Beacon, and I talked about what Emergent Beacon means to me, and then some shithead was like, you only posted 2 videos. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And so I'm like, fine, I'm just not gonna share with y'all until a new video's done. So yeah, it's something I think a lot about, and I'm a little I'm a little prickly about, but you know. Burns from what? Soup. I had hot soup and it slipped out of my hand, spilled all over my arms, burned the fuck out of me. That was almost a week ago now. So I'm already past, or I'm well into the boil phase. The burn. But it doesn't hurt. I just try to be careful so it doesn't get worse. This is cool. This is time lapse over the years. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at these photos. I'm sure this is all great, but I have limited time. I have a Bizarre Magic weekly meeting coming up at the top of the hour, so I do have to prep for that a little bit. Yeah, decent music. I'm sure there's a lot of really great stuff in here. Media briefing. Oh, man. Yeah, I'll probably watch this on my own time. There's so much. Wow. Where's the Bizarre Briefing lately? Well, for reasons. I was kind of the person who was keeping that alive. Because if tomorrow I was like, we're doing one this month, we'd probably do one this month. But for reasons, I kind of was like, you know, my enthusiasm kind of waned, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. But I know some people like it, so sorry. Okay. Let's get this nice one. Okay. Yep. Okay, I feel like they gotta consolidate this a little bit. Okay. Hell yeah. Wow, they've already got 5 pages for like just a couple of photos. Y'all need to chill. Good grief. Ooh. Okay, interesting. They didn't show this. The Miri versus NearCam. Yeah, they were just showing the NearCam stuff, but they didn't show the Miri stuff. That I would be interested in seeing. Why is Hubble in here? Come on. Diffraction spikes are a really curious piece of the instrument, or just like artifact from the instrument. What the hell? Why is all of this stuff in here? Maybe this was in here and I just didn't notice it. I feel like I came in here yesterday and it was just this image. But I must be mistaken. Yeah, I don't know why Hubble's in here. It's the it's the JWST website. Just give me the JW. Come on. Let's do these big ones, and then I'll call it a stream. I don't know the difference between these two images, but I don't care right now. Wow. I feel like I'm in the late 90s again. Look at this. This is great. You enjoyed it, but will sit in your list of dead podcasts in hopes someday it surprises you. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's permanently dead for sure. It's just I would need to find motivation and enthusiasm to do it again. I know there have been a couple people. I feel like Annalisa has maybe been like, "Hey, y'all should do one of those," and then it just kind of doesn't happen. You always enjoy hearing talented people shoot the breeze, especially about a company you care about. Fair. Yeah, it was kind of chill. Buh. Oh, God. Wow, 14,500 by 8,000. That is a big photo. The diffraction spikes, I think, look kind of ugly. If I'm being honest with you, I think they look a little bit gross. Like, especially with like the little ones, because the little ones get, they have these weird artifacting and stuff. The big ones, at least there are clear and defined points to it and everything. But if I'm being honest with you, it looks a little ugly. But everything else looks pretty. It's cool. Well, in the presentation, they showed some B-roll of them having it open in Photoshop when they were like compositing the different channels and everything. I don't know how much of that process happens in Photoshop or anything like that, but they did show Photoshop. They mentioned some galaxies up here. Man, look at these little dust clouds. I like that, how they were just like, yeah, this, we don't even know what that is, man. It could be anything. Let me, is it this one? This is music from the upcoming Emergent Beacon video. Yeah, that's wild. It's like it looks like a tube that kind of U-turns and opens up. Just think of all the new stars those companies can sell now. I'm sure at some point in my life, somebody bought a star in my name. Not officially recognized by scientists or literally anybody. Yeah, these are really, the structures here are really interesting. Wow. This little section's pretty dense. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot to dig through in all of these. So do they label and name each of those stars or not bother? They do, but it's like a scientific name, right? So it's like SC1478-A or something, you know? There's a galaxy. Wow, that looks cool. Look at that. Can I... Yeah, they typically don't give like accessible names to anything. It all stays scientific pretty much. Except for in a couple of rare cases, you know. Stuff that's particularly significant, like it's super close to us or something like that. Same thing with the galaxies. Like galaxies, they'll get names that are like scientific, but only like very specific ones get names like Andromeda, right? Like that's, I don't think that's its scientific name. I actually don't know its scientific name. Black holes get names as well. Quasars get names. Well, quasars are black holes. They're just bright black holes. Everything gets a name. They're just impossible to remember unless you are a scientist who works with them often. Wow. That's cool. Yeah, let's look at this guy. $12,000 by 12,000. Ugh. Having a hard time keeping up. Wow, it's really densely packed. That's a phenomenal amount of stars. Yeah, a lot of red stars. which I want to say is indicative of them being newly formed. With the way that they photograph stuff. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I'm just saying things that I feel like I remember, but I don't actually know. I feel like sometimes stellar nurseries are especially red, but redshift and blue shift confuses you. So redshift is something that's moving away from us. Yeah, so it doesn't even necessarily equate with older or younger. It's really relative motion. But in general, if it's moving away from us, then it's older because it's taken longer for the light to hit us because it's moving away from us. But wow, this is really kicking my computer's ass. But yeah, red is always moving away from us. Blue is moving towards us, generally speaking. That said, you can have stars that are especially red, that are like red giants or whatever. And that doesn't have to do with red shifting or blue shifting. That's just what type of star that is. But if we're talking about red shift and blue shift, red is further from us, or going away from us. Which is funny because most things are red shifted a little bit. Pretty much everything that's not Andromeda is moving away from us. This is really interesting. I think this is super cool. The way that these like pockets of, I'm guessing, ionized gas or whatever, and you see the distribution, like the clumping of star formations and everything, follow along these clumps of ionized gas. It's very cool, I think. Where it's like, you know, that makes sense. You know, you have all that material and it's condensing and compressing and like pulling towards each other and collapsing into stars and planets and everything. But to see it so clearly is something that I feel like I don't see terribly often. Yeah, and I think part of the reason... Oh, what is going on here? There's this big long tail coming off of this galaxy. That's pretty cool. So there's all these stars that were part of this galaxy, and then it got close to this one, and it kind of ripped some of that off. The more fuzzy bits isn't because of image quality, that's galaxy dust. Yeah. And it's interesting because this is kind of what you sort of typically see. So when you have a galaxy like this, where all of the stars seem so defined, that makes it really captivating and unusual. Because yeah, there is often a lot of dust that sort of obscures things. That's also one of the advantages of infrared. Is that it cuts through a lot of dust. So we'll probably see more galaxies like this than we have in the past. Yeah, it's really striking. I'd love to at some point just like go through and look at a bunch of these background galaxies. Oh man. I just realized I hope Zooniverse gets some of these web images. Oh, that'd be so good. Put them in the hands of citizen scientists. That'd be neat. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, interesting. This is a much smaller image, relatively. So yeah, I wonder if this instrument is just not quite as high res. Is this Miri? Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, you can see so much more like structure in these bizarre swirls. Don't get to see anything in this galaxy though. Okay. Let's move it along. I've got a meeting in 30 minutes. Okay, right. Planetary nebula. I'll look at this on my own time. Look at this real quick. Side by side. Yeah, we didn't really get to see the Miri version of this. So yeah, Miri must just be like a bit lower res. Why include a compass? Well, you know, you have to remember scientific application. It's useful to have some form of orientation, I'm sure. But yeah, you would think it would probably just be like, if it is scientific application, you would probably just have like orientation coordinates or something like that down at the bottom. Compass doesn't work at 3D space. Yeah. I guess. I don't know, man. There's a reason. There's a reason. I just don't know what it is. Huh. Well, I can understand why they didn't lead with the Miri Cam version of this. It does show off like slightly different attributes. It looks different, and I don't think this is probably not the best application of the Miri Cam, which is why they didn't show it off. And it is like less like visually stunning. Where I mean, this looks like a fucking CG render or something. You know, it looks ridiculous. Whereas this is a bit hazier, a bit less defined. But I'm sure there's probably some really cool applications of this instrument. Okay, and let's cap it off. Excuse me. With this planetary nebula. Yeah. Side by side these. Yeah, it is cool how readily this this exposes both the stars in this binary system. It's neat. It can be really hard to spot binary stars. Usually like binary stars, just like a planetary transits, they just find binary stars by a point of light changing in brightness slightly. And they're just like, oh yeah, binary star. I don't know how they do it. It's magic. It's insane. Yeah, they're like, it shifted like 2 subpixels. That means there's 2 stars and they weigh this mass, and there are these kinds of stars. It's like, I don't know where you're getting this information. You're doing some like advanced math that I've never even heard of to figure this out. Yeah, I don't know. Let's full screen this. Wow. I do love how it's so sensitive that now it's just like, yeah, if you point at anything, there's just going to be like a billion galaxies in the background. Just no matter what. It's so detailed. Yeah, there is a good sense of depth. It definitely feels very concave. What I'm curious about with this. Okay, so this is a pocket of like heated up gas around the star, because it's like shedding. Oh my god, I just almost dropped a bunch of water. It's like shedding, gas off of its core. And that's also what this is, right? This is just cooled down somewhat. So it's just like pushing all of that out. It's a binary system, so I'm guessing it's one of the stars. Maybe it's both. I don't know how it works. But of the 2 stars that are closely orbiting each other, they are pulling gas off of each other or something. But we see all of this. Do we have... Is it You would think it would be expelling the gas in all directions, which would obscure our line of sight into this. It almost looks like it. So it looks like a vertical slice, right? It looks like we are cutting through all of this gas, which should be, I guess, because in my mind, I'm thinking like this almost looks like, dust lanes or whatever, which if it were directly in front of us, in between us and the binary system, then it would make it really hard to see all of this heated gas. Depending on the magnetic fields that's influenced by the internal gases. But yeah, it just looks like this would be expelled in all directions around the star in such a way that it would make it hard to see this. So I don't know how that works. I don't know if that is not the case. Is this like a mohawk that goes around the entire system? Is it only expelled on the back half? Is it also being expelled towards us and we're just seeing through it somehow? I don't know. Well, not galaxy. Nebula, right? Because nebula is just gas. This is gas around two stars. I don't know how that works. Yes, please. Please, if we must be scientifically accurate on this stream to the best of our ability. Huh. Well. Yeah. We only appreciate scientifically accurate jokes, which is why I've not watched the new Beavis and Butthead movie, because I saw the trailer and I said, that's not how black holes work. It isn't. See this? That is not, if you got pulled into orbit around a black hole. I'm very specific not to say sucked into a black hole, because black holes don't suck. You fall into a black hole. But if you fell into orbit, look, it's animated as though they are going around it counterclockwise. Like over the top and then under the bottom and then over the top. But the problem is the top and bottom of a black hole are the same thing. They're just different sides of the top of the top part of the accretion disk is the top half of the accretion disk going around the back side. And this is the bottom half, right? So if they did shine like a light like this, right? If they suddenly started emitting light for some reason, they were superheated or something, and their black body radiation just made them shine really bright. As they go around the back side, the top and bottom would light up at the same time. And then as they come back around, you would see them light up in front of the black hole. That's why I've not watched the movie. Yeah, and also it's I mean, the scale of this black hole is, come on. That black hole is like 50 meters tall or something. Although I will say this seeing this made me think about where we are right now culturally with science, where it's like space stuff is in again. It's like it is I feel like it is fashionable to be like interested in space stuff, but scientific accuracy is not always important, not narratively, but you would think this I would be very interested to know if the people who animated that particular scene, if they knew that what they were doing, I wonder if they were presented with multiple options. If they were like, look, we could do this, we could present this accurately, but is that confusing to the kind of people who are really interested in a new Beavis and Butthead movie? Or we could do this and maybe it's close enough and they get it. Right? I don't know. That'd be really interesting. Does Mike Judd care? I feel like he would. Well, no, I take that back. I take that back. I feel like I don't know much about Mike Judd, but I feel like he would respect accuracy. I don't think he would go out of his way to demand it, but I think he would respect it. The Expanse did help with that. The Expanse helped a lot. The Expanse is the only television show I've ever seen that treats space flight accurately. It makes me so frustrated when I watch Star Trek, when I watch Star Wars, when I watch The Orville, and they all have spaceships that fly like airplanes. Doesn't make any sense. And I think you can argue that, well, they do it because they just have to get from point A to point B, and they don't want to have to deal with all of the logistics of spaceflight because there are a lot. You know, orbital mechanics is like a complicated thing and counterintuitive. And spaceflight is a complicated thing. You have to deal about like relative motion if you're going in between star systems or whatever. There are all these mechanics and stuff, but I think The Expanse did a great job of showing that you can respect that and still make it exciting, still make it interesting, and also like not that complicated. You get it. When they have to stop the ship, they have to turn the ship around and go full power in the opposite direction to slow down to a stop, and they experience tremendous G's, and it like is an incredible strain on the body, and I think audiences understand that. Any complaints about Orville has to be directed at Star Trek, even though McFarlane is a big space geek. Yeah, I mean, the Orville is very clearly TNG reskinned. It is like unabashedly in so many ways. It's not even trying to hide it. And I think that's why, I think that is in part why it is a really good show. But yeah, they do spaceflight. And it's funny because they just recently had an episode where they tried to give some explanation as to why they don't experience time dilation when they travel FTL, which is a big thing that's held against Star Trek a lot, where it's like, you guys are going warp 10 or whatever. You know, Tom Paris existed in all points in space in the universe at once, but he didn't experience time dilation. You know, he didn't come back like 40 billion years later. You know, like that doesn't make any sense. So the Orville just recently had an episode where they tried to like explain that a little bit, but they still have spaceships that fly like airplanes. You know, they still like to have dogfighting in space that looks fucking ridiculous. It looks so ridiculous. But hey, what are you gonna do? If they try to explain, then that's definitely a problem. Well, I mean, they explained it as like a narrative device, right? It factored into the story they were telling, which is why they explained it. And I think they did a decent job, all things considered. But I think it's also a thing where they were just like, I think it was like a little jab at Star Trek, where they were just like, look, clearly we know that this is a problem that Star Trek has dealt with for decades. And I don't think they've ever addressed, and maybe they have. I mean, there's probably some like technical manual for the Enterprise or something where it's like, yeah, on page 94, it clearly says this is how they overcome that. I think they get around it by warp is actually folding space-time or something, folding space, and I think there is like an explanation for it that just doesn't show up in episodes. But the fact that I think the Orville was like, oh, we could come up with an explanation for that, and we can actually tell the audience what that explanation is. Anyway, I have a meeting to get to. Thank you for joining me. That's going to be it. These photos are great. I'm glad I got to share that experience with you all and watch the video. Everybody did a great job on the stream, even though it was a little hectic, even though that NASA stream was broken. I still think it was a good time. Yeah.